Hello again from my front porch in the aftermath of what I say, Hurricane Ellie being here. That sounds bad. Two things that I discovered with having my granddaughter Eliana visiting for about a week was number one, my house is not set up for a toddler. Very curious, active, and fast toddler. Now there's no problems. There was nothing went bad or about anything, but I have acquired things that are nice to look at and even for adults to admire that are not really as well designed for 2-year-olds to get their hands on. Some of the stuff I literally had to hide to make sure that she didn't see some of it, want to mess with it. But other stuff, just literally had to squirrel away in different spots, try to move higher, put something over. Yeah, so that was interesting. But also, I discovered that having a little kid like that in the house completely changes the whole dynamic of the home. Now, I'm not going to say I would want one here all the time. I feel like I'm beyond that point now. But it became really apparent to me that having Ellie here, playing with appropriate toys. Now, I did sort of irritate, I think, my daughter Ashley. My son Alex didn't say anything about it at the time, but Ashley made comment on a couple of instances where I've got this big collection of Fisher-Price Little People stuff in my storage building behind the house, and I've acquired it over many years. Actually started back even while they were kids. We'd bought some Fisher-Price stuff that they did play with, 2 or 3 little playset things. But then as the kids grew and got older, I would see something at a garage sale, or I would be at a secondhand store, and I'd be like, oh, that's cool, that's fun. And that's just never stopped. It's not like I have this big, massive amount of it, although some that don't have very much might say I do. But point is, I haven't even really kept track of what I was getting, and so I've figured out that I have some duplicate play sets. Like I have 2 or maybe even 3 of the Sesame Street play sets for Fisher-Price Little People, and other stuff like that. And then I have just this massive amount, this whole big tub that is full of little people and vehicles and furniture items, and I mean, some of it clearly is very vintage, and yeah, I did, as we were going through some of that, I did try to weed out and identify. There were some things that looked like they were kind of old, and so maybe I'll pull those. Maybe I need to start setting some of that stuff aside a little bit. But I pulled out a lot of that, and Ashley helped me clean some of it up because it was in my storage building, so it was a little dusty. And we got out several of the Fisher-Price play sets and a big tub of the little people to play with. Ashley had left a tub full of her Barbie dolls from when she was young, and I didn't even know it was still here. But Ashley found it, and we pulled that out. And then there was some other things. We found a little suitcase, zippered suitcase that Alex had filled with Hot Wheels that he had forgotten he had left here. And so we got all these things out, and Ellie had plenty of stuff to play with, and it was everywhere because she was everywhere. And please understand, I'm not complaining. I'm expressing that, that's not the way my house normally is. I'm not a neat freak. I'm not a Felix Unger kind of thing. But I do like my house organized. I do like it to look neat. Now, I've been told that my house is clean, but that it's bachelor clean, meaning yes, you walk in and stuff's mostly put away, but there's a layer of dust on everything, and there's cobwebs up in the corners, and there's stuff that a bachelor's like, yeah, but somebody, a family person, might be a little more, oh, wait a minute, we got to clean this up here. We got to keep these counters cleaned off. We can't have that stuff sitting on there. We got to keep this cleaned off for food prep. And so, well, I hardly ever prep any food in my kitchen, so excuse me. So anyway, back to what I learned about with Ellie being here. One of the other things that did get mentioned, a couple of people, and they weren't poking. It wasn't mean-spirited or anything, but they were just sort of almost teasing kind of thing, that they were surprised that I didn't do one of these, a front porch video, every day that Ellie was here. And trust me, I thought about it. If I thought I could have got away with it, I might have tried. But in hindsight, I'm actually glad I did not. Now, the last episode was sort of my clip show, you know, the montage of mostly photos taken at different times, but there's a lot of stuff that I did with Ellie and that Ellie got to experience that I don't have any photos of and I don't have any video of. And I'm okay with that, because one thing that I recognize, and I've heard this before and other people have emphasized it, maybe it's as I'm getting older, maybe it's a sign of maturity, I don't know, but it's the concept of being in the moment. Live in the moment. Enjoy the experience right now. And I see pictures online, but I've actually seen it in person, where, you know, I'll be at an event or I'll be somewhere and there will be something going on and it's a big deal, and you look at the crowd and everybody's got their phones out and they're all doing like this. They're literally putting their phone between them and what is happening. Now, the reason they're doing it is because they're capturing it for future reference. But honestly, how often do we go back and look at those? Now, sometimes we do, and sometimes we use them to show people and stuff. But I take a lot of pictures and sometimes video of things that I might use in a front porch video. You know, if I'm intentionally doing it for that purpose, I might use it for that. But even after I've done that, a lot of times I delete what I recorded, because now it's in the front porch video and it's out there and I don't need to keep it. And it really, with Ellie here, it really checked me. I really got to thinking about that, and I thought, you know, I could spend my whole time here with Ellie videoing her and taking pictures of her and trying to you know, capture and memorialize every minute of all of this. That would make me really annoying, and it would put that phone between me and my granddaughter. Yeah, I didn't like the sound of that. In fact, even as I'm sitting here, in all transparency, I'm trying hard to not get emotional because one of the really special things was how much she wanted to hug me, and the many times that I got to pick her up in my arms and just hold her tight with her arms wrapped around my neck, and you know, there are times where she would be a little sleepy and she would just lay her head over on my shoulder as I'm holding her. And yeah, we did a lot of fun stuff, a lot of fun activities, but that holding her like that, that's what does it for me. That's what fuels Grandpa's heart, Grandpappy's heart, or as she calls me, Happy, because I picked the name Grandpappy. That's too much for her to say, so they tried to just go with Pappy, and she can say the subsequent piece, but the first one apparently was difficult, or she just decided Pappy didn't make any sense, but Happy did, because I'm always smiling, I guess. And as other people have heard that that's what she calls me, everybody wonderfully, graciously has agreed that that's a good nickname for me. Okay, as I've said before, there are worse things I could be called. Absolutely. Excuse me. So anyway, I really enjoyed Ellie being here, and Ashley and Josh. I don't want to downplay. I don't want to forget that they were part of this too. But this was Ellie's very first visit to Iowa. I've seen her a few times down in Florida. Not as many as I would have liked, but you know, it's half a country away. Fortunately, though, I have had opportunities to interact with her there, but this was her first time here. And there was just something really special about that to me. There was something that here she was in my home with me, holding her in my arms. And there was no way I was going to spoil those moments by trying to grab for a cell phone and take a picture. Again, I did get several pictures, took some videos, and we did, they were here for, 6 days. And so, there were plenty of opportunities to cram some in and do things. But I don't regret that most of the time that we were together, there is no video, photo documentation, because we were just focused on being in the moment, enjoying the now. And boy, did I enjoy it. And I miss her. I miss her being here. Now, like I said before, I wouldn't want her here all the time. That's the joys of being a grandparent, is I get that experience of the enjoyment, the wonderfulness, the in a compressed little space, and then she goes with her parents, and I don't have to deal with what's going on with all of that. Now, as she gets older, I do hope that there will be times where she gets to spend some more extended time with Grandpappy, and that we can have some adventures together. Just as I remember having adventures with my grandparents. But what's interesting is, and I was thinking about this while she was here as well. I was commenting to, on Saturday I hosted family gathering here, and so I was commenting to somebody else that was here for that. I said, when I first found out that Ashley and Josh were going to have a baby, and I was thinking about, oh wow, I'm going to be a grandfather. And I was concerned because I wasn't sure that I knew what to do as a grandfather, because I had all these romanticized memories of my grandparents, my mom's mom, my mom's mom and dad, and my dad's mom. Get that right, Paul, because my dad's dad had passed away when I was 2 years old, so I didn't really get to know him as well. But the other grandparents, at different times during the summer as I was older, I got to spend like a week with each of them, which I'm sure my parents really appreciated. But I would go and I'd spend time with them, and I just remember it being such a wonderful experience that we did cool things, we did wonderful stuff, and I'm like, man, how do I do that? How do I live up to what a grandparent is supposed to do, at least for my. And it dawned on me that if Ellie were to remember the 6 days that she was here. Now, she might, I don't know. There are some people who can remember to way back when they were young, but most of the time, at the best, you remember a little, an emotion or a little glimpse of something. You don't remember the whole time. But theoretically, hypothetically, if Ellie were to be able to remember the time that she was here, and she equated that with going to be with Grandpappy, she would now think, yeah, going with him is incredible. Look at all the cool stuff he does. Well, yeah, did a whole lot of stuff in those 6 days, stuff I normally don't do. So that's probably what my grandparents did as well. When I came to stay, there were probably some things that we did that they maybe never did any other time of the year, or rarely ever did. And as I look back on that, I realized, I was concerned about what would I be like as a grandparent. Would I live up to what my grandparents were? And I may have done exactly what they did, because they didn't have cell phones. There were some photos, some actual photos taken when I would stay with them, but they didn't have a choice. They had to live in the moment. That was where they were at. So maybe, with that lesson that I learned from Ellie, to be in the moment and not on my phone, maybe that helped me to be the grandparent that I wanted to be, that I wanted to emulate just like my own. Funny how those things work out. All right, well, anyway, the main reason for sharing this was because, again, some people had sort of spoken, teased, how come you hadn't done more of them? Well, that's why. That's why there's not more coming. I put it all in that last video, summarized everything in that last video. But if I could leave you with one thing from this one, it's learn from the lesson that I got. Don't always have your phone out. Don't always be capturing everything. Just enjoy it, because you will still carry it with you in here and in here. And with that, I'll let you go, and I'll see you next time from my front porch.